Hello and welcome to the Intel Brief. Today is Monday, 5 January. This is the first of the new kind of format for the Intel Brief, so please let me know what you think in the comments down below. I'm very interested. So today we're going to talk about Denmark is urging Trump to cease threats to take over Greenland. The UK has confirmed that joint airstrikes targeting suspected ISIS weapons facilities happened in Syria. And Latvian police have boarded a vessel after a cable breach in the Baltic Sea. So firstly, leaders of Denmark, and Greenland on Sunday called on US President Donald Trump to stop threatening to take over Greenland. The appeals come after Trump again insisted that the US needs to control the mineral-rich resource Arctic territory for national security, the day after US forces attacked Venezuela and captured President Nicolas Maduro. In an interview on Sunday with The Atlantic magazine, Trump said, "We do need Greenland, absolutely. We need it for defense." And he added that the island is surrounded by Russian and Chinese ships. So what? I mean, this is just putting unnecessary strain on kind of the relationships between Europe and the US. It's particularly concerning, after he takes such divisive action against Venezuela. It makes them quite, worried about what Trump might do, as he's pretty unpredictable. Do I think the US is going to take over Greenland? No, not really. Not at this stage. That would be kind of a step too far. I don't think many people in the US leadership outside of like the hardcore mugger crowd would support such an action, as it would be extremely isolating and basically the end of the West as we know it, as it would be the US attacking a NATO state and a European state at that. So I don't think it'll happen. I do think this is all a push to get more access to minerals within Greenland, and that seems possible. That's probably what I think will happen, but we'll have to wait and see. And next, on Saturday, Britain's Ministry of Defence said that Royal Air Force Typhoon fighter jets, supported by a Voyager refueling tank, were joined by French aircraft to conduct a strike on a facility north of Palmyra. Intelligence identified the facility as a likely use for stored weapons and explosives, and that the strike forms part of continuing Allied efforts to prevent the Islamic State's resurgence. The Ministry of Defence said that its aircraft used Paveway 4 guided bombs to strike access tunnels, and officials reported a detailed assessment is currently underway. This is known as a BDA, Battle Damage Assessment. The British Defence Secretary John Healey said that, "I want to thank all members of the armed forces involved in the operation for their professionalism and their courage." So what? I mean, this just goes to show that, the threat of ISIS within Syria and Iraq hasn't gone away, and that there still requires to be support to ensure that there's no resurgence there. I think this was pretty clearly documented when the last, solid part of the Islamic State was destroyed. They had set out pretty detailed plans on how to, they put in sleeper cells, they stashed weapons in caches, they prepared themselves to come back, which, kind of makes sense, understanding how complex and effective the group was at its height. So yeah, kind of unsurprising. It's good to see that the UK is taking actions against them to ensure that they cannot rebuild and start stirring up trouble within the region again, as it's already still pretty turbulent time, but it's kind of trending in a positive direction. So a resurgence of ISIS would be pretty negative, as you might expect. But yeah, hopefully we don't see anything like that, and I'm sure that the UK and US will continue to support their allied units in the region to ensure that this doesn't happen. And lastly, an undersea telecommunications cable in the Baltic Sea was damaged on Friday, with Latvian investigators boarding a ship on Sunday in connection with the incident. the country's state police have announced. This incident occurred as the Baltic Sea region remains on high alert following a series of power cable, telecommunication links, and gas pipeline disruptions since Russia's 2022 invasion of Ukraine. NATO has bolstered its presence of frigates, aircraft, and naval drones in this sea. So what? I don't think there's likely much to come of this. Kind of the best part about grey zone operations is they're extremely hard to prove, right? How are you going to prove that this vessel purposefully damaged this cable and that it wasn't just an accident, which is likely what they would claim if there was any proof that they actually did it? Proving that it is tied back to a Russian campaign or even directed by the Russian government is going to be extremely hard. It's unlikely that Latvian police will be able to take the captain's phone and rip its data unless it's done discreetly without the captain's knowledge, which is possible. But if that is the case, then it is unlikely we will ever hear about it because that would probably be classified. So yeah, it's unlikely that there's going to be public proof given that this vessel actually did this action, even if it is highly likely that it did. That is the nature of grey zone operations. So yeah, it's pretty tough, but it's good to see that they're continuing to apply pressure on ships that do carry out this type of activity. That will definitely make vessels nervous to actually do it, hopefully. That's kind of my thinking anyway. But yeah, anyway, that's been your Intel Brief. I've been your host, Daniel, and I'll see you again tomorrow. See you.